marking you was the worst mistake I have ever made in my life." His voice was filled with nothing but venom, thick and lashing through my skin, with my black tears falling on his skin. I watched him stare down at it to snicker, staring back into my eyes. I did not do it. I did not do anything. I plead with him, begging with my eyes, trying to find some compassion in him, digging deep, but there was nothing with all of me breaking before him. I could not even talk from there. All the energy just drained out of my body, helpless before him, not knowing what could have provoked such behavior from him. All my fears stared back at me. Them, and more. Losing the only hope I had left. All the people that died on that battlefield are on you. Their blood is all on you. I curse the day you stepped foot in this castle. You will never be my queen. I strip you of all your Luna duties. You can rot in whatever corner you find in this castle. My heart. Goddess, my heart, just ripped away and crushed. I cried hard, heaving as he let go of me, my body falling limply on the floor, with him walking back into the office. The Gamma stood by the door, staring at me with the king walking past him to close the door shut. The sound echoed all through the passage and left me cold. The sob was just stuck in my throat, my shaking hand coming to my mouth, closing it as my body rocked forward. The tears falling on my hand with my head as if to explode. My world was shaking, my heart tearing through my chest with the pain unbearable. I was sure I was dying, heaving with my chest closing in on me, and no one would help me. No one there as I choked on my sob. I could not sit there. I could not stay there. I had to go. My body pushed up, stumbling away to the machine, my black tears smudged on the button with the machine opening wide. I stumbled in with it closing. I held everything in. I was just holding everything in, my body as if to split in two. The machine doors opened. Stumbling out to my door, past the two guards that were standing there staring into space. All they were said, unheard by me. The door opening and closing, everything was blurry. Stumbling until I reached the bed. I fell on it. The pillow gripped to my face where I screamed. I let everything out and screamed so loud I felt the castle shake. I screamed over and over again as the tears flowed down hard, shaking hard. I did not deserve such pain. I did not deserve such heartache. Something in me exploded, heaving and crying. Heaving and crying for hours and hours until I passed out on the bed. His words echoed in my head, even in my state of sleep. The look in his eyes, all I saw as my eyes were closed. My eyes opened and I could still hear his voice. I could still hear the hate, the venom. I could take it from anyone but not from him. Not him. I was bound to him to death. And even he, the one that was supposed to accept me against all odds, rejected me and hated me. Then what was I still living for? The moon goddess had blessed us as true mates after his mark, but his hate surpassed the mate bond. It was nothing I had heard of yet. It broke me into a million pieces. Each time his words echoed in my head, it was as if he was saying them in real time. It was as if he was still holding me against the wall and spitting them out to my face. What had I done to deserve this? Whoever took me from my home, why had they? Why had they brought me to such a fate? I would pray. But I was starting to accept that prayer did nothing. I was done. I was dead. My body lay still for I don't know how long, and when it began aching. I turned around in the bed with the sheets shrinking away under me. Black as my fingers, all I saw was darkness. My darkness filling every corner of the room, crawling from the lowest point to the highest corner in the room. It brought such comfort to me as I turned to my side, clutching my pillow to my chest and closing my eyes, playing the scene over and over in my head. I just kept replaying it, again and again, wanting to feel the pain. It was deep, and I wanted to feel it, so deep, it killed me. I blinked the days away. The darkness, my cocoon, keeping me safe. No one could see through it, not that anyone ever came to the room. Not that anyone cared enough. It was just me, tossing and turning over and over again. My lips dry along with my throat. The tears would come now and again, sniffling. I was doing what he had said I'd do, burying myself in the darkest corner. There was in the castle, which was my room. I would bury myself to death. And after a century or whatever, they would wonder what happened to me. Opening the door and finding my crisp body, I suddenly wondered what he would do if I died. Would he cry? All mates did, but I did not see it happening to him. He would probably celebrate, free from the bond he had tied himself in without knowing what he was getting into. He would be free from my restraints. My thoughts were getting darker and darker with each passing day. Getting more dangerous with my sanity at the brink of slipping. Would I jump? Maybe I would just walk away until a pack of rogues tore my body apart. I liked that one more, for it seemed I was suddenly addicted to pain. I wanted to feel it to the most capacity I could take. A knock suddenly echoed all through the room, and at first, I thought I was imagining it, but it came again and again. I did not want to get up. Did not want to hear whatever they wanted to say, for I was sure it was not to my favor. No one liked me. No one wanted me there, and their main goal when it came to me was to bring as much pain as they could. I blocked the sound away. A tear slipping through my eyes and running to the pillow that was left black and white. The door opened. What in the wolf's ass? I knew that voice. As much as I heard it a few times, I knew it very well. My body turned so fast, pulling the darkness away and leaving the room clear of it all. I could not believe it. It was him indeed, my heart drumming as the tears came back full force. His eyes took me in, and I did not even waste time. I climbed out of bed with my feet running to him, my arms going around his waist, hugging him tight as I cried hard. He froze under my embrace, cold from my touch. Yet all I needed was just his presence and warmth. I missed him so much, holding on tighter. It was time before he wrapped his arms around me. I was sure he was shocked at what was happening. I was confused too, but I just knew I could pour my all on him. The sob came back again, crying until I stopped. He never pushed me back, never cursed me, but just held me as I dirtied his shirt. And when I stopped crying, just only hiccuping, he gently pulled me away from him. I stared at his face as if I had not seen him in years. I was truly happy to see him. But the sadness in me was too much. His hand came on my face, his fingers wiping away my tears as he took all of me in. My head bowed. Not sure how he would take my change. What happened to you? The question came, his voice harsh as always, but I knew it was just how he spoke. I shook my head and raised my shoulders. My voice trailed away as I sighed and sniffled from crying too much. The mark. Something happened, I said to him as he nodded his head. Come on. You have been in this room for far too long, he said with my head bowing as I nibbled my lip. I am not allowed to get out, I said to him with my head picking up. I did not want to get into more trouble. I just wanted to disappear. I will not take this pathetic, submissive thing you have turned into. Go shower. You stink, the beta said. I always stink, I said to him back. You stink more than usual. I would have chuckled if I was not drowning in my misery. My body turned, not even arguing as I slowly walked to the bathroom where I closed the door. I did not even want to see my reflection. I got into the shower and washed my body. When I was done, I wrapped a towel around my chest. My teeth were brushed. Then I walked out of the bathroom, only to stop in my tracks. 3 girls were in my room. One was changing my sheets, one sweeping, and the other cleaning the windows. I did not know what to do with myself, deciding to just walk on. They did not say any snarky comments. They just went on with their work, not even laughing. What was happening? I rushed into the closet, drying my hair while brushing it. I let it flow with it wavy behind my back. It was so long, to my waist. I loved it very much despite it being different. I actually loved my body. My face was spotless even after all the crying I had done. No trail at all of all that had happened. My skin was so smooth and creamy that if one poked it, you would think nothing but milk or cream would slip out. It glistered and shone brightly. A breath was taken, staring at the reflection in the mirror as my hair shone with a halo as if created. It was beautiful. I was beautiful. I would appreciate that. Where was the beta taking me? I did not know what I would wear. I felt so dark inside me, so I decided to go for a white dress. Maybe it would brighten my bruised spirit. I wore a summer short dress with some nice sandals. My bracelet and necklace were clipped, and nothing more I could do. I walked out of the closet, my head bowed, not really in the mood to go out. I just wanted to curl in bed as the beta told me his war stories. But he was not that type of person. The girls were nowhere to be seen. But my room was sparkling clean with fresh sheets slipped on the bed. I was more than grateful. My eyes traveled to the door where the beta was standing, waiting. I was sure he had already waited enough. My feet fast as I walked to him. His eyes were on me, and it seemed he could not take them away. My face bowed, shying from his stare, for it was the first time anyone had ever just looked at me. I am ready to go, I politely mentioned, with him pushing from the wall and turning. He stepped aside as I walked past him. He walked after and closed the door behind him. I would not lie. I was scared to walk through those halls. If the beta was in the pack, it meant the king was also in the pack, and I did not know how I would react to seeing him. There was a large part that just knew I would run and never look back. I was not ready to face him, and I don't think I ever would. Where are we going? I asked with my voice low, looking up at the beta. He was so tall and so muscular, he could just crush me with his bare hand. Breakfast, he simply said back, as I stood where I was. The doors of the flying machine opened, and I stood there, not moving. He walked out and took a couple of steps to stop and turn to me. I shook my head. I was not going there. That was where my problems began in this castle. What if they all stood up and left again? I was not doing it. My hand was already pressing on all the buttons in the flying machine. The doors closing, but the beta was fast, sticking his hand in with the doors reopening. He strode in, no humor on his face, as he grabbed my arm and pulled me out. No, please. I am not allowed there. I shot out with the beta snickering. This is your castle. You are allowed everywhere, he said back as I shook my head. But he was so strong, just pulling me with him. He stopped and turned his head to me as I braked with my heels. Pulling back, he gave me one look. Just one look, and I was whipped back in line. I straightened up, the fear swimming through my body in waves. I took a deep breath, for I knew the king was there. I could feel him in my bones. The tears just swarmed my eyes, not able to bear through it. Get a hold of yourself. And stop being childish. Childish. Have you ever been rejected, choked, and threatened by your mate? I cried out. He did not threaten you, he said back, frustrated. He might have. I said back to him. You can either walk in the room with me, or you can run back to your room and stay there forever. I thought you were a Luna and a queen, but maybe I was wrong. I don't have time for such childish games. The beta snapped at me as his words struck a chord. He was speaking as if someone had just taken my sweet away. I went through so much trauma in this castle. I went through a lot with too many tears shed. So no, I was not being childish. I wanted to give him a piece of my mind, but he was the only person on my side in this whole realm. He was helping me. I took a deep breath, blinking the tears away with the pain already being too much to bear for me. Just knowing the king was there. How could I walk in there after what he had done and said to me? How could I keep it all together while I could smell him? When I could feel his warmth. I could already smell his beautiful scent, and I was addicted to it. I could not bear the pain. My heart was breaking all over again. His words echoing. The tears came back, but I pushed them back. The beta held his hand out for me, and I was grateful for it as I placed my own, which was shaking. His warm hand closed on mine, him staring into me as I stared into him. He was giving me his strength, and I would take it. My head was held high, my jaw tight, clenching to unclench with me swallowing the pain. When the beta was satisfied, he took a step forward with me, taking one of my own. I could do this. I was Raven, and I had been through so many things in my life. What was a rejection from a king? Just another thing to tick off my list of heartbreaking situations I found myself in. The beta stopped right before the door with me closing my eyes. Knowing he was giving me a second, the doors were pushed wide open, hearing them swing only to open my eyes. Them falling on the long table filled with so many people. I could barely see, shaking so hard, but the beta squeezed my hand, and I went steady. As soon as he walked in, all people in the room stood up. The whole table just stood up all at once before they took a step from their seats and bent a knee. It was a glorious sight to see, with my heart beating so hard as if to escape me. I thought it would choke me, beating from my throat. Silence. Nothing but silence echoed. The beta turned with me following, only for my feet to just freeze. My eyes fell on the king, who was seated in his chair. His head snapped up, turning to us with my eyes locking with his. My world just crumbled all around me. With a squeeze of the hand, bringing me back to life, I took a step. the beta following as we walked towards the king. Each step I took a sword to my heart. I did not even know how I was still walking. But if I could stand for that long, I could stand for another second more and another following that. I could feel his hand on my neck. I could hear his voice in my ears with his warmth on my skin. The memory flashing before my eyes. It hurt me deeply. He hurt me deeply. And he did not care. Not at all. He did not care that I had been hauled up in that room, not knowing if I was alive or how I was surviving without food. To him I was dead, so why would I care? But I could not just switch off my feelings. I could not just ignore the bond between us as he did. I wished the way to him could be longer for each step I took towards him. Was agony, killing me inside out. We got there, my head bowed. Not because I was paying my respects. I just could not stare at him. I wanted to hate him so much, but Lord, I couldn't. And the truth was I loved him. Damn that mate bond. The beta bent a knee, and I did not know if I should do the same or not. I did not have the bond that compelled me to bend a knee in the king's presence, but by the tug from the beta, I found myself bending before the king. I wished I could just hit him, just once. I did not want to bend any knee before him. He did not deserve any knee bending from me. I could just punch him, just once, for what he did to me. I was sure he would get the reason to finally end my pathetic life. My king, the beta greeted. Brum. The king greeted back, his voice my poison, clenching Brum's hand even harder to keep steady and get the strength to keep my cool and not freak out. What is the meaning of this? The king seemed bored, and I could feel his eyes on me. I knew he was talking about me. I thought I would shudder, I swear, just wishing I could scream once again, and just keep screaming. I ask my king for the power to restore the Luna to her position. You will leave me here to lead the pack after the war is over. Grant me the right, my king, to exercise this act, for I believe that this would be a right move to make, Your Highness. The beta spoke with the room filled with nothing but silence as we clenched each other's hands. My eyes were closed, not even sure what would happen. You think I made a mistake? The king asked in a dangerous tone that left me cold where I was. No, my king. I just think the Luna needs a guiding hand. Anything she is accused of, she did not mean to do, and it was beyond her control. I would like to train her for the foreseeable future. Brum politely stated, threading carefully. Sure, there was a thin line, and if he crossed it, something bad would probably happen. The seconds went by, waiting, and it felt like an eternity, waiting on what the king would decide. I could not go through the humiliation of him telling me to piss off again. I already felt so little to have to knee and beg him for what he took. Not even sure why he took it away. I was sure the people had all danced and laughed hard. Your trial starts here with this decision. As king, do you think this would be a wise decision to make? Yes, my king, Brum answered with me deep in confusion, yet not the time for it, so be it. You are responsible for any of her shortcomings. The king spat out the words, just nailing in the thorn. But I had to accept the facts. I had to accept that there was not going to be any relationship between the king and I. I was going to be alone and live through the pain and loneliness that would fall on me. Your grace. Brum thanked with me biting my tongue. I would rather choke on my blood than thank him. The beta got up, and I followed suit. My head held high, yet eyes diverted from the king. I was the beta's responsibility. My own mate passing me by to another man's hands. What madness was that? But why was I shocked? He left me alone to travel with the beta in the first place. My body stood straight. Nothing but determination coursing through my body. I would not fail the beta. He was the first person in my life who fought for me and saw something in me. I would not disappoint. I would show them all that I was more than they all made me out to be. Brum led the way. He stepped up, walking behind the king's chair to the Luna's chair, which he pulled back for me. My cheeks were burning by then, giving him a respectful nod to walk around the chair and lower myself on it. The chair was pushed forward for me, making sure I was perfectly tucked into the table before going to the chair on the right side of the king. He pulled the seat back and sat on it. A plate was taken by Brum, filling it with so much meat, I thought I would go dizzy. He did not put anything else, just meat. I swallowed hard, just sitting there frozen. Really, for the king was just a few inches away from me. I could hear him breathe. I could feel his warmth seep into my skin. With just a shift of my arm, I could touch his skin. It was too much to bear. Both heaven and hell to me as I closed my eyes to open them. Trying to be strong but failing with my sanity slipping bit by bit. "Aren't you going to tell the people to stand?" the king suddenly asked, seeming irritated with the meat he was eating placed down on his plate, turning to stare at Brum. "Number." It was all Brum said to go back to eating his meat. The king stared at him for some time before shaking his head and going back to his meat. The two men ate, but seemed the king could not let it go. I was also curious as to why Brum would torture the people in such a way. They were all kneeling awkwardly, and I was sure their knees were getting sore just staring at them, and their food was getting cold. And why is that, Brum? The king finally asked the question I wished I could. I felt so awkward just sitting there, so I pulled a jar of water and poured it into my glass. "They will stay kneeling for the rest of the day and the next until they crawl to the Luna and beg for forgiveness for starving and locking her in her room in our absence," Brum said, with my breath hitched as my eyes went wide. My heart drummed harder. "Brum, I did not need the attention." "No, they don't need to apologize, Brum." I kept chanting in my head, not that he could hear my thoughts. I bowed my head to raise it, and as soon as I felt the king's eyes on me, I wanted to run. I stopped breathing, and I swear the world stopped moving. "So, this is about her, my mate." The king spat, the mate word as if it was burning his tongue, saying it with such distaste. He was squeezing out all the light I had left in me. My spirits were crushed just like that, my head bent even lower, just trying to keep the emotions at bay, trying to keep them under control. I did not know why he still bothered me that much. How his hate just tore through me that much. "Yes, my king. I see it as disrespect to you. Where in the whole realm since the moon goddess have you heard of people torturing their Luna? It is an insult at its best, and it's a behavior that should not be tolerated. Whatever she was, you had marked her and she was Luna by right and law." Brum spat the words with such passion. Him getting furious by the second. Feeling the people whimper on the ground where they were kneeling. If he knew all that happened, I am sure he would die from the anger, I guess. I shut my mouth. Minding my business. The king next to me was shaking, I swear. I dared stare at him. Did I dare? My head turned, staring at him as he pushed his plate back from him. "Someone tell me what the hell happened here?" the king asked. His voice was dangerously low, sending shivers down my body as my hands clutched the chair where I was hiding them from the king's view. My heart was drumming, cursing over and over in my head. I thought they knew. If they did not know, then why had the king cursed my literal existence? I was perplexed, surely not about to spill the beans. "I told her to stay in her room, your highness, and we forgot to take food up to her," the man who had strangled me said. The Gamma still bowed behind the fifth chair from the Beta. His head was lower than the rest. Bathing in nothing but shame, the Luna could have stepped out and got her own food, Alpha. We were all busy training the warriors, and were not used to her being around. Her presence was disturbing the warriors, which was why I suggested she stay in her room for those days. Lies, lies on lies. I could not help but chuckle. My eyes went wide, a gasp pulling from me as I quickly grabbed my glass and drank my water, feeling the eyes of the king on me. My eyes closed, praying he did not ask me why I was chuckling. I opened my eyes, his eyes still on me, having me die inside only to come back to life. His eyes never moved, realizing he was staring at something. My eyes dared travel to see what he was staring at, and it hit me. The glass was dropped immediately as I cursed over and over in my head. My hand was brought under the table, hiding them away. "Wolves, ass." The king stared for a second longer, then stared away. I did not want to get anyone killed. I just shut my mouth and tried to be as invisible as I could. The tension in the air could be cut by a knife. "Luna?" It was Brum asking, and I nearly strangled him. "Brum, Brum, Brum. Why was he doing this to me?" "Lie," the inner voice in me whispered. I opened my mouth to close it. God damn it. I could not lie. I was left with wide eyes as the Beta and the king stared at me. My shoulders dropped with me, taking a deep breath. It did not happen in that exact way, but more like it, and I forgive all who were involved and hold nothing against them. I could have pat myself in the back. It was such a good save, wasn't it? I could imagine everyone clapping hands. It was the truth. just with some missing specific details. The king stared for a while. I did not know why he was upset. He had literally done the same thing, and even worse. To make matters worse, he was my mate. He just had no business on the matter. They had learned from the best, learned from him and his heartless ways. Even the choking, having learned from him, I was happy I was not holding the glass, for I would have crushed it with my bare hands. Just feeling so mad. Thank you, Luna. We don't deserve your kindness, the man said, my head picking up to stare at him, his eyes staring at me with no sympathy at all there. He and the king deserved each other. They could mate with one another. My heart was just swelling in my chest with nothing but pain, wishing for nothing but to get out of there. Everything was too much. I needed fresh air. The king flickered his hand with the people rising to their feet and taking their seats. My eyes moved to Brum, finding him staring right at me, dead in the eye. He was not pleased. He was not pleased at all. I apologized with my eyes. I could not have told on them. Who knew what would happen? I did not want any trouble. I just wanted to step away from all the chaos surrounding me. I was tired, seriously. All heads were bowed. People eating their food. I looked around the table. Nothing but meat. Just staring at it had my stomach turn, drinking my water and waiting for Brum to get done, and stand up so I could scurry after him. I truly appreciated what he did for me. It meant a lot. I could just hug him and hold him tightly. Would I be able to get more books to read? I tried to recall all the books I was still to read, saying their titles one after the other, but it was not working for me. I was trying to distract myself from the scent of the king, but it was overwhelming all my senses and just driving me crazy, seriously. I recited the things in red in my favorite book. I said them over and over again until I gave up, and my goddess. He smelt so good, and it was doing things to me. If he could just say he was sorry that he went too far, that he had been stressed or something. I would take him back in a second. I would hug him. I would ask him about the war. I would ask him on what happened. Was he hurt? Were we winning? So many things we could talk about. My head suddenly turned, for I realized his scent was not just coming from my right side. There was just a faint hint of it coming from somewhere else. My head turned, looking around the table with my eyes held by brown eyes staring back at me. It was one of the girls that had been in the castle, laughing their asses off every time I walked past. A smirk spread on her face with mine drained of all color. I just stared, afraid to even take a whiff, but the curiosity was too much. My heart as if begging to be broken again. I took a whiff, and my lord, I crushed and burned. It was coming from her. She was carrying the scent of the king on her. Her smirk grew wider with my breath held. I was breathing through a wound, the pain too much. My hands dug into the chair until I thought it would break. My head snapped away from hers, chanting in my head over and over again, "A Luna doesn't cry. A Luna doesn't cry. A Luna doesn't cry, God damn it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it." I was trying. My hand coming up, wanting to drink some water, but my hand was shaking too much they would spill all over. I lowered the hand back, trying to hold myself, but I was just at the brink of standing up and walking out of there. He was making a fool out of me in front of all his people, just dragging me along and making me a mockery of me. What was happening in my whole life? A mate never slept with a person who was not their mate. What was happening in my life? Everything bad just seemed to be happening to me. Was that why the pain got worse at night? Because he was busy entertaining some other girls? I could not stand it. I could not. Ooh my. I was going to burst right next to him. He was a piece of work, wasn't he? He was everything that could be wrong with a person. He was hurting me. I broke down in my head, screaming and shouting while trying with everything I had in me to hold it all back. Why me, though? Why me? I felt defeated. I was sure they were all laughing. Serves me right. Hey, they were probably clapping for their king. It could not be like that forever. Could it? It could not be that bad forever. I did not see any light in any direction I was staring into. I could not see any hope. A chair scrapped back, feeling the veins under my skin as if to pop off. I stared up, seeing Brum stand up. I nearly shot up too, but his plate was still half-eaten, and he left his chair pushed back. He walked around the table looking for something. I watched him take an empty plate and put some things on it. He was still adding food. Brum, my knight in a shining armor. Could you just eat and be done so we could leave these cruel people behind? I was better in my room. I was better cocooned in my darkness than the madness I was seeing all around me. A shadow of a person caught my attention, my head turning with my empty plate pushed away, and instead of it, another was placed. I stared down, and there was nothing but fruits on it. My shaking hand came to my mouth. Brum, Luna, he said in respect, then turned and walked away, but not before squeezing my shoulder. I sat staring at the plate, feeling the eyes of all the other people who were frozen, and watching it all unfold. Thank you, I whispered, my voice shallow and horsey. I swallowed, taking a fruit with my shaking hand and bringing it to my mouth. I took a bite, it's sweet and heavenly tasting, which immediately made me feel better. It was just what I was needed, feeling the tears fill my eyes. I closed them and took a deep breath to open my eyes again. I blinked the tears back, taking another bite of my fruit with my eyes closing, letting the life flow into me. I felt so much better. My head picked up seeing Brum sit down in his seat and go back to his food. I could not help the sad smile on my face, then went back to my fruits. I ate them all, leaving their seeds on my plate, feeling so sated. The king suddenly stood up next to me. Everyone followed suit, standing and immediately kneeling on the floor, but he would rather choke me than see me bend a knee for him ever again, over my dead body. That piece of work. Instead of bowing, I took up my glass of water and drank with him, pausing where he was. I placed the glass down and relaxed back in my chair. My eyes went to Brum, seeing him red as if he would pop. I loved Brum and he would forgive me, but I would rather die than bend a knee to a man who did not give a damn about me. He could bend his own knee, for I would not. The king moved, walking away, and when he was gone, they all stood up. Me shaking my head. I wanted to just stand up and kick his chair over and over again, push his dishes off the table to see them break on the floor. What state it would bring me, but I guess I would have to settle for the very descriptive image in my head. I was not a violent person, but he was making me one. He was taking out the worst sides of me that I wished to never see again. I did not want to be as broken as he left me ever again. Are you insane? He is your king, Brum, not mine, I stated as he dragged me out of the dining room. Are you hearing yourself? Yes, Brum. Can I just be bitter in peace, please? Let me be bitter to the man who is just peeling my heart apart with each day I see him. Can I have that? I asked, turning to stare at him. Me being a good Luna doesn't mean I have to kiss his ass. I pointed out the facts as I turned, walking to the front door. I had not been outside in a long time. I missed it. He will kill you, the beta stated. So be it. I shot back at him. This is stupidity. I call it freedom, I said back with the beta shaking his head. What have I done? He cried out, gripping me by the arm and turning to drag me back in the house. I did not complain, no matter how much I wanted to see the outdoors. I have some time on my hands. I will show you around the castle, introduce you to a few people, then rush off to my work, he said as I smiled. Thank you, Brum. Seriously, thank you for everything. I will make you proud, I said to him as he snickered. Just walking away, we went from room to room, passing the people that bowed from his presence. So, are you related to the king? I finally asked the question that had been on the back of my head from the first day we reached the castle. The people bowed down to him as if he was the king himself, and they respected him enough to do everything he said. I mean, they had stayed on their knees until the king told them to get up. Yes, the beta said with me stopping where I was. I had seen the family tree. The tree had so many branches, but I tried to recall the last names on it. The king had 2 brothers, who according to the rumors were deceased. Come on, the voice called as I jumped up and rushed to him, and then it clicked. You are Brumsy, Apex Wolfblood, cousin to the king. Your father was the brother to the king's father. I spoke out, excited that finally I was putting all this information to use. I ran in front of him to stop as he walked towards me, giving me one scary eye. You do look alike a bit. Just a bit, I said with him reaching me and walking past me. If you won't concentrate on the tour, and I am wasting my time, why don't I just leave? He spat out with me swallowing, yet so excited. I am sorry, Your Highness. I already read about it. That is the laundry room. That is the main pantry. I just had not seen the rooms. Seeing them makes it all clear for me. I do appreciate you taking your time to do this. I would just like to get to know some other things in the process. I said to him, trying to give him a smile, which he groaned, not happy at all. Don't call me that. He seemed upset. What? You mean your highness, I said, mocking him, as he narrowed his eyes at me. I gave him a bright smile with my innocent eyes that probably looked scary. He shook his head and pointed to the door. I pulled up the map in my head, seeing where we were. That is the throne room, I set out with him, nodding his head and walking through the large golden doors. The sound echoed as we walked through. It was so beautiful. The ceiling was painted with wolves and forests. 2 large golden chairs sat on a raised platform. There was nothing besides that. The room was so large. No light streaming in. Only that from the beautiful lights. The floor was made of gold itself. The pillars pure gold. It was marvelous. This is where your coronation will happen, Brum said as I swallowed, the pain hitting hard with my head bowing. That will not be happening, I said sadly, already turning around. Maybe the king would take his lover and make her the queen. At this point, nothing was off bounds. If he could share himself with her in that way, there was nothing he could not do. He had already broken the sacred rule of mates, so I was expecting anything really. It will happen, Brum said, as I turned to stare at him. I liked his positive spirit, but I was throwing the towel in that department. What did the king mean when he said you were on trial? I asked with Brum walking past me. His footsteps were long and fast, having me nearly run after him. He was waiting for no one. I am in trial to take his position, Brum said with me knocked out of breath as I stood where I was. My eyes were wide, watching Brum walk out of sight only to call my name. I ran after him, reaching him to grab his arm, needing him to explain, please. Why? What will happen to him? Is that even possible? I asked, really needing to know. A king could not just give away his position. It was impossible. He was ordained by the moon goddess herself by making him the firstborn of a king. There was no taking that away unless the king does not want to pass on the curse. When the war is over, he will kill himself. I took the words right out of the beta's mouth as I paled where I was. What chaos did I dump myself into? I tried to think about it. Shaking my head, running my hands through my hair. And you will just let him? I asked, nearly shouting with me, grabbing Brum's arm for him to stop. He did not stop. He just kept walking. My heart broke and healed itself back. I did not even know what to think or what to say. Beyond all that, if the king died, I would likely die too. Is that what you meant when you said nothing? But death is waiting for me here. This can't be happening. What the hell did I do wrong in this lifetime? I shot out, my hands on my head, turning around. I was going to die. Bloody hell. They just saw me and thought, well, we can definitely kill her. I shook my head, not believing it. You picked the girl with no one and nothing to lose. I mean, who would even care if I was dead? I threw my hands in the air. Perfect. Just perfect. Why am I even trying hard? I should just go do whatever I like since my clock is ticking. The king can sex his women and choke on his. A hand came over my mouth with my eyes going wide. Just finishing the curse in my head, screaming it out. I hated him so much. He could die for all I cared. The tears filled my eyes, only to blink them back. Don't say something you can't take back, the beta said with me swallowing, as he lowered his large hand from my face, leaving it burning. Why can't I? He cursed the ground I walked on. So why can't I do the same? I shot out, the tears coming back, frustrating me even more. You are not going to die, Beta Brum said with him, huffing and running his hand through his hair. The king did not pick you. I picked you. Wait. What? My eyes were wide, staring at him, more than perplexed. Why? I asked, so many questions running through my head, suddenly feeling a bit uncomfortable. What the hell was happening with these royals? You were not a werewolf, so you did not have a true mate waiting for you. That was the main reason I picked you. Plus, you could fight and run, he said back with me, still uneasy. What do you mean I won't die? I asked, the silence around us loud. my heart hammering as his grip held me firmly to him. He closed his eyes to open them, then stared down at me, because if the king dies, I will mark you. You will be my queen, and Luna. No. I said it loud and clear, already taking a step from him. If I don't mark you, you will die. Your choice. He spat out with me frozen in place. I closed my eyes to open them, thinking I was suddenly able to dream. But it was not a dream, it was real. This is a mess. I spoke. Tell me about it. Beta Brum answered with me walking, turning, and falling in step with him. My mind deep in thought. How do we stop the king from killing himself? Why don't you have the curse? I questioned. My father had it, but it was not passed on to me since I was not directly linked to the ruling line. He answered with me nodding my head at him. I am hoping that, by the time the war ends, something would have happened between you two. The beta said with me scoffing, then the king will die. You were not there when he stared at me. He literally held me to a wall and just told me to piss off and die. I said with the scene playing back in my head, shaking the pain away, but it was not going anywhere. It was there to stay. That is the curse. They all do that, Brum said as I scoffed. What? Threaten their mates? Abuse them? I asked in a mocking way. If that was what they did, I did not want to be any part of it. I liked to breathe. I liked to stare at the sun, and I hated crying. I had been crying way too much. I needed to be happy. They destroy everything that's good in their life. Conry's father not only took it out on his mate and children, he took it out on the whole pack. The pack was enslaved, beaten, and tortured. He killed his mate and went mad, going for his children next. Conry and I ran to the packs in the mountains to hide. Prince Regan was not so lucky. They found him and tore him to pieces. The beta and I were standing by a large window, him looking out on the warriors that were training at the far fields. All this information was driving me crazy. What? I thought Prince Regan killed himself? I asked, recalling the conversation Alpha Graham and the family had back home. No, the late king killed him. Carl was the most fragile of the three and the youngest. He could not bear the pain of the curse and being hunted like a dog, so he ended his life. Conry and I came back when we heard this. He killed the king and took the crown, his body littered with nothing but his father's blood. I could just see it in my head, him standing over his father's body, taking the crown with his bloody hands and placing it on him. I shook like a leaf, pale as paper. I thought I had a hard life. I was taking it all back. I had never heard of anything so chaotic, so brutal, and so heartbreaking. My heart was sore, beyond measure. The beta shook his head, his face as pale as mine with me sucking in a breath. He turned around, walking away as I took one look at the field, then turned to walk after him. We did not speak after that. We were both deep in our heads, too much to process, too much to make sense of. My head picked up as we walked out of the house, the sun shining on me. I closed my eyes and let it wash over me. It was the greatest feeling. I could breathe again, taking a second to soak it all up before I took a step. After the beta, but he was far, so I ran down. There were no snarky comments. There was no laughter from all those that we walked past. They bowed as we passed. Your Excellency, Your Highness. They bowed, greeting him with me, just marveled at the respect they carried for their royals. It was a beautiful thing for me, and, don't you see your Luna, or is she invincible? Brum questioned, as my eyes went wide, my lips shut. He was not having it easy on them, but at that point, I guess it was necessary even if it did not sit well with me. Luna. The people greeted as I smiled. A good morning to you too, I said back as politely as I could with my heart swelling. I was ready to love everyone. I already loved all of them dearly if they could just give me the chance. Brum was creating that chance for me and I had to use it. I had to show them that I meant no harm, that I only wanted the best for everyone. Thank you, Luna, they said back, standing up to walk away as we passed. It went on, until we reached the training fields. Sweat and something awful clogged the air. But that was to be expected. They all dropped to their knees. Your Highness, they greeted, then turned. Luna, they said to my shock, nearly having me laugh. They had heard the beta give all the others hell for not greeting me. "Good morning." "Great work," I said, giving a thumbs up only to slowly lower my hand. Was I crazy? A thumbs up, seriously? I internally shook my head. I was just so impressed with how hard they were training. Brum held his hand out, and they all got up from their knees. I smiled, watching all of them as they got back to fighting. I was so excited to be so close to the action, watching it all so close. I could see their muscles flex. They seemed to be trained harder than before. Some of the men cried while training, and that just showed you how bad it was. I understood, though. There had been so many lives lost during the last battle, which reminded me. I turned, staring at Tat Brum with him staring at me. The king said all the deaths of the people were on me. What did he mean? I asked, my voice low. I had thought it was because of the commotion that had been happening in the pack in his absence. But since he had not known, I did not know what he was talking. And such words I would never forget nor forgive. He cursed me. Just thinking about it had me drown in sorrow. The king was sick throughout the fight. It affected the men, especially the younger ones. Many died and we had to fold back. He thinks marking you was the cause of it. Your blood did something to him. He had these dark veins all over his body. I gasped, the tears filling my eyes. How many died? I questioned, my hands shaking as the beta stared back at me. 3,000. It was like a blow to my soul. The king was right. It was my fault. If he had not marked me, not that many people would have died. I opened my mouth to close it. I am sorry. The words slipped out of my mouth as the pain shot through me. It was beyond your control. I don't need your apologies. I need you to do your job. All your tears do is scare my people and irritate me, the beta said with me, nodding my head, looking away to rail my emotions back in. You can fight, right? He asked with me, turning back around to stare at him and nod my head. I am not really goo. I did not even finish the sentence with the beta already walking away and shouting at someone. I was left nodding my head. Show us what you can do. Brum shot out, looking back at me with the guy he had called standing right next to him. I opened my mouth to close it with no way out. I had never actually fought with anyone. The only time I came close to a fight was when the king chased me through the forest to drag me out. Where did I even begin? The nerves were eating at me. We don't have all day. Brum shot through, irritated. I took a deep breath, knocking my pumps off and walking to them. The other warriors continued training with just the guy and I in front of them. I was about to get a whopping real good. The man was waiting as I rolled my shoulders back, not sure on what to do. The man, seeing that I was not going to move, he made the move for me. When I team his fist connected with my face so hard. My body hit the ground with a thud as my blood came flowing down my nose. Ouch! What the hell? It was as if I had been knocked by a whole lot of bricks on the face. The world span, but I stood up again only to go down as another fist came. I heard the beta sigh, my whole face burning hard. Who knew a punch could be so painful? It was on the fourth punch and kick that I decided to collect myself. I was embarrassing myself here. Some of the men were laughing, not that I blamed them. I would laugh too if I was not getting such a beating. My dress had my blood with dirt on it. I stood, deciding to concentrate. The man came again, watching his moves, watching what he was doing. I was faster than werewolves, so I had to use that to my advantage. I ducked and ducked, spinning around and crawling under him with the laughter roaring in the air. I know. I looked like a tiny girl trying to run away from her capture. The man was getting frustrated, but I had gotten all I needed. I knew all his moves, the way his legs moved along with his fists. I stood up and jumped in the air, hitting him from behind to flip and kick his face so hard it echoed all through the air. His body went down with me jumping on him and landing with my fists on his face. I was using all the styles I had learned from observing their training. My fists did not carry much power, so I went in with the knee, hard on his stomach, then quickly ran to hook my arm around his neck. Ready to snap. Woo! That was such a rush. My arm slipped away from his neck, standing up to dust myself off. Again. The beta shot through. I was already tired, my goddess, but that was exactly what I had wanted. I stood as the guy did the same. Ready to attack, he had initiated the first attack, and I would take the chance to do it too. I ran to him, my foot on his thigh, then chest. Spinning within my legs on his shoulders, my arms around his head, holding it so awkwardly to snap it out. The man was frozen where he was. I was still holding tightly. Any wrong move, he would be dead, again. The beta said again, as I jumped down from the man. Poor guy, it was not him. It was just that I could anticipate his moves. He went for me this time. I was making him look bad in front of his superiors. I ducked and turned, pulling both of his arms back with my feet jumping up, leaning on him to hit his spine, and then jumped down as he stumbled forward. My feet ran after him, jumping with my elbow hammering on his neck over and over again, until he fell on his knees. Then I gripped his head ready to snap. Tom, you go to the back of the line. You need more training. Brum shot out as I let go of the man whose name was Tom. He stood up kneeling before Brum, and then stood up to run to the back of the line when he had been at the front of it. I felt bad. It was just my luck. He seemed tired, really. Sure, he had been training all morning. Come on, the beta said with me turning and walking to him while trying to clean myself. But it was no use. I was dirty, and my dress was a bit torn. I got to him, staring up at him. I could not see if he was happy or displeased. I could not tell what he thought of my fighting. I could not read him, for he was always like a brick wall, just stoic in front of me. The king is calling for us, he said with my hands falling away, eyes wide, shocked to no end, but scared and nervous because I learned the hard way that my confrontations with the king always end badly. I won't take long. I promise, I begged, pulling Brum by his arm. But he was already walking out of the flying machine and dragging me with him. I dug on the floor with my heels, trying to pull him back, but to no avail. Please, 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 please. I won't take even a second. Just change out of this dress. I begged with him pulling me, so I stumbled and ran, knocking his body. When the king calls, you go straight to him, he said with me sighing. He is my mate, Brum. I can't just go looking like this. How will he stop staring at other girls if I come looking like this? I cried out with Brum already at the door, ready to open it. Get yourself together, he warned. There was no way of helping me. I pulled the skirt of my dress, wiping my face and leaving the dress black. I hope the blood had all been wiped from my face. I could just feel my hair going in all directions. The door was opened with my heart scent drumming like horse hooves. My hands were shaking with the king's scent, knocking me right at the face and nearly drowning me. It smelt so good. It had not even been 2 hours of being next to him, but I already felt like I had not seen him in days. That mate bond was just working its magic. The hate I had a few hours back was totally gone. Fretting about how terrible I looked. The shame was too much. But I would not bow my head. Brum got in and stepped aside. I walked in after him, staring at him and not daring to pull my eyes off him. He closed the door, then walked in with me, following after. I walked after him, knowing his body was hiding me away. The beta moved and I cursed over and over in my head, as my eyes went straight to the man I was trying not to even think about. Damn, he was so handsome. I could not even think properly just staring at him. He choked you, he cursed you. My mind was shouting, but I was a goner as I drowned from those golden pools that just pulled at me. Everything else in the room seemed to fall away. His eyes changed from golden to black, him staring back at me. I watched him stand up from his seat and slowly walked around the table, still staring at me. A shiver ran down my body. I wanted to walk closer to him. I wanted to feel his skin again, feel it burn under me. I wanted to grip him and smash my lips on him. But goddess, I found myself taking a step back from him. Once, burned, twice, shy, I was ready to run. He would not do it to me again. Curse or no curse, he was not going to manhandle me ever again. The king stopped in his tracks with my breath held. His eyes went wide, staring at me only to blink, and his wolf was gone, his golden eyes back. He stared at me to turn and walk back to his chair. Sit down. His voice echoed all through the room with such a sensation, running down to my toes from how sexy and sweet that voice was. I could listen to it all day and night long. I would be lying naked on his body with his fingers running up and down my back, him just talking literally about anything, and I would melt right onto him. The image was clear in my head. My whole body went tense. A sensation foreign to me. It was so sweet and sour at the same time. My underwear surely to get soaked, which just shocked me to no end. The king groaned where he was, his eyes going black as I gasped, "Luna." Brum's voice rang out as my eyes tore from the king to him, and his face was one I could not read. He sighed and bowed his head. His face red with him shifting on his seat now and again. My eyes traveled back to the king, who was red as if he would pop. I snapped out of it all. Had I done something? I did not have to be told twice as I quickly pulled the chair and sat down. Seeing the king so mad just hurt me beyond anything in this world. Why did I bring such anger out of him? Could it just be the curse on its own? I did not know yet. It still burned so much. My head was bowed, hands under the table, hearing the king breathe so heavily sure he was going to explode. He suddenly stood from his chair and walked out of the room as fast as he could. Leaving the door opened wide, my eyes were wide, my head picking up to stare at the beta, and it was then that I realized we were not alone in the room. Next to me sat the gamma that had strangled and whipped me. My blood ran cold with my eyes wide on him. What now? Couldn't he let it go? I knew whatever we had been called for was not good, but took comfort in that the beta was there. If it came to it, I was seriously going to jump out of the window and run for the forest. My heart drummed even harder, my palms sweating as I brushed them against each other. I felt so mad I could not even talk, and just as I was about to speak, the door closed. My body went rigid in my seat, my mouth closing shut as the king walked past all of us. He sat down, and no matter how hard I tried to look up, I just couldn't. I did not like the way I reacted to him. The room turned cold for me. The tension was heavy, with the nerves nearly killing me. I was tired of all these confrontations, just needing peace. Just for once, since being in the castle. After investigating on what happened in my castle when I was gone, I found some disturbing information that I need the Luna to shine some light on. The king said, the Luna words slipping from his tongue and driving me insane. But I could not even busk in that as my head shot up. I stared at the man next to me, wishing I could just punch him. More accusations, with more punishment. I wanted to cry, but I did not. I swallowed, my jaw flexing with my head turning to the king, where I stared at him directly in the eyes. He stared back at me, sitting back in his chair only for him to chuckle, "Be damned." These people wanted me to do something I did not want to do. I did not want to have blood spill because of me. I could not bear an animal dying, nonetheless a living person. I could not bear that. Something in me would surely die. Tell us, Luna Raven, exactly what happened in this pack from the first day to the day we came back. The king was not laughing nor even saying it in a friendly way. I knew I had no option. I knew I could not get away from it. I swallowed, not wanting to talk as my eyes tore from the king. My chest moved up and down, the emotions getting the best of me. My head was bowed. Opening my lips to close them, I became sick, Your Highness, for some time. The pack thought I was dead, but I got better and decided to go down since I had been locked in my room for long. It was morning, and I was looking for anyone left in charge to give me a helping hand on what I was supposed to do. I was told to go back to my room, but I refused into that. I sucked in a breath, hating it so much. The words felt as if they would choke me. To that, the gamma choked and threatened me. The words I had been holding in, the information I had not wanted to get out, just spilled. Just like that. The beans were spilled and there was no putting them back in. I jumped in my chair as Brum's chair hit the floor with a sound echoing all through the room. He was heaving, staring down at the gamma, sure he would finish him right there, and then with his bare hands. Brum, the king warned, with Brum turning to stare at the king, then shook his head, turning and walking away. I thought he was leaving, panic rising in me. He could not leave me alone there. He decided to sit on the couch as I stared at him. Relief washed over me, and I was able to turn back, my eyes falling on the king, who was staring at me with his narrowed eyes, something dark about the look he wore. I immediately looked away and shut my trap. I hoped that was enough. Please, please, please don't ask for more. I begged in my head. We are all waiting, the king said, just crushing me right there and then. I had no choice. I had no choice at all. As the days passed, I tried to get out and socialize, but it was not working. Everyone was hostile, and I decided to just stay in my room. I could not have everyone uncomfortable in their own home, so I stayed away. I was either in my room or in this office, and I am sorry, Your Highness, to use your office without consent. I just needed to learn some things. I took a deep breath. Suddenly boiling hot, getting into the worst part of it all. Weeks had passed and I had not eaten. I was getting weak, so I went downstairs. I stepped into the kitchen and it was packed with so many women. At my sight, they screamed, said I was a witch, and shuffled out. The Gamma knocked me down and told the men to restrain me. They bound me to a tree and whipped my back. Everything was out. The tears filling my eyes with me, blinking them back. They what? Brum was up on his feet, right next to me, wanting to hear it clearly. They whipped me, I said again with him walking away from me. The room got hotter and hotter. All eyes were on me and the man right next to me was shaking so bad, I thought he would shudder. He slipped from his chair, pushing it back with his knees, kissing the floor as he begged with all he had. It was so painful to watch, looking away as my heart tore apart. It was all in the past. Could we just let it go? The room became awfully quiet, the only sound from the Gamma begging. Did I dare stare at the king? I did. I turned my head, pulling my eyes up to stare at the king, and his face was just the same. He displayed no emotions at all. His eyes were just fixed on the Gamma. He did not look away, just stared at him intently. It was not like that, Your Highness. Everyone wanted to burn her and burn her? Burn my mate? It was the king this time, his voice awfully low, so dangerous, sending a shiver down my spine. It was not like what's stern. Did you or did you not whip her? Brum asked, walking to the Gamma and stared right at his face. I thought Brum would strike him. The Gamma shook his head, opening his mouth to close it. It wasn't bad, it was just. I begged, nearly crying myself. Ready to drop on my knees and beg on behalf of the Gamma. Shut up. Brum stared directly at me, his voice as if to kill me itself. Not even a single sound was heard from me again. With my head bowing, my body was pulled from the chair with Brum pulling me up by my arm. I thought I would die. He turned my body around, and the sound of my dress tearing filled the room as my eyes closed. The tears dropped, holding the dress tightly to my chest so it would not fall and show my whole body. My back was on display with Brum shaking so hard next to me. What was he seeing? I did not know what my back looked like. It was still sore, just a little, but I knew the skin was closed up and healed, so the only thing that could be there would be scars. Did I have scars? It was not bad. What? This was not here. Brum was shouting at me, and I did not know why he was shouting at me. My body was shaking on its own, and his shaking body did not help at all. Brum. How would you know what her back had or did not have? The king suddenly asked out of nowhere. I felt Brum freeze next to me with me frozen where I was. No one said a thing. Even the Gamma was quiet, with my body leaning on Brum for support. How do you know what my mate's body has and what it did not have? The king asked again. Each time he asked, his voice deadlier than the last. Did something happen between you and my mate Brum? The way he was saying Brum's name, I nearly peed on myself. Why did he care? Yes, we screwed. We kissed and did everything that couples did under the skies when it was cold and dark. He touched me and made me feel things in the caves when I felt as if my hands and feet would fall off. Where was he? Probably screwing his mistress and sleeping in her bed. I just felt so mad. I would burst. I wished I could just scream that to his face. He had no right to ask that. Not after what he did. He did not even care for me. He hurt me every chance he got, so he did not get to play the possessive mate. He was supposed to protect me and look out for me. The realm could all turn and want my head on a stake, but he was supposed to be the only person I could trust. The only person I was sure would always be on my side and have my back, but he was the worst of them all. The world could hate me, and it would be fine, but him. It was hell on its own, because I would still love him. I would still smile, and my heart would still skip a beat from his sight. A roar echoed all through the office, with it shaking so bad I thought the ceiling would collapse on us. What was happening? My eyes went wide, holding on tighter to Brum with him, still as if frozen into ice. Brum's arm tightened around me, bringing me to him instinctively. That seemed not to help at all as the table flipped over and crushed hard with everything on it. My body shook so hard, the tears in my eyes just falling away, and the worst part was that I could not see what was happening. I could only hear the loud heaves coming from the king with his growls that left the whole castle shaking. I was sure he was turning, but why? Did he want to kill me? My heart just shattered so hard, not able to take the pain, not able to get used to his hate. Why so much? The sob broke through as the room turned cold, clinging to Brum as a baby clings to their mother when hurt. Brum was staring right at the king with his skin going paler by the second. I wanted to ask what was happening, but my voice was stuck in my throat, the only sound coming from it being the sobs that wrecked through me and left me broken. I could not take such pain. I could not endure such hell from my own mate. Why would he even think I would betray him like that? I was not without values like he was. I felt angry and hurt, boiling and crying all at once. A part of me just wanted to run out of there and never look back. I would rather take my chances with the rogues out in the forest. Brum's hand suddenly dug into my arm with his nails, sure to draw blood. I would have cried out, but what I was feeling inside my chest was beyond any pain Brum could inflict on me. My body was soon flying through the air as I screamed. I hit a wall so hard I thought my head had split. The room spun around as the pain exploded. I cried out, my hand on my head, gripping my head, my fingers running through my hair, pulling it back as it came out coated in my black blood. The pain was all too much, not knowing what was happening. Everything was happening too fast. The king howled once, and all the pain vanished from me as I stumbled up, my legs shaking so bad. My body slipped back to the floor, my eyes not moving from the king who was directly staring at me, heaving with his eyes black, no trace of his person in there. His head snapped to Brum, and I quickly pushed up the wall as the king lunged for his beta. My heart was beating from my throat, screaming and rushing to them, but they were on it. The fists were thrown, them rolling on the crushed table, seeing that soon they would turn and it would be bad. I was crying, not knowing what to do. Blood already coated their fists as they fought as if to kill each other. Raven, run, Brum shot out. Him being knocked down to the floor, seeing that he was struggling to keep the king at bay, he held nothing when it came to the king's skills and power. It's Luna for you, the king roared, his anger seeming to hit another level, as everyone in that room nearly peed on themselves. I did not want to leave, but I knew I had to. My tears fell, opening my mouth to close it, as Brum was hit harder and mercilessly. I turned and ran for my life. The door was thrown wide open as I slipped on the floor, catching my balance and dashing for the steps. The flying machine would take too long. My hair was floating all behind me, heaving with the scene seeming to go in slow motion. My blood littered the walls as I held onto them, turning back to see if I was not followed. The steps were taken two at a time with no one in sight. I got to my floor, rushing to open my door and close it shut. The guards that were usually there were nowhere to be seen. I wished I could lock the door, but I could not. I just leaned on it, my body slowly sliding down with the sob breaking from me. My hands were shaking, staring at them coated with my blood. I felt angry, stupid, and hurt, not such which feeling was the worst, but I did not want to be there. I did not want to be me as of then. My life was a mess. I wanted it all to stop. I wanted to just be normal, even if it was just for a day. My body pushed up. No amount of crying would erase the pain. No amount of crying would have me understand the actions of the king, the hate he held so much. My mind was in chaos, and all I saw was the blood on my hands. I walked away from the door, needing to escape, and the only thing I could think about was the bathroom. I stumbled in, taking a deep breath as the green of the flowers had me feeling a bit better. My dress was already torn, my back bare to the edge of my waist. I pulled it off my body, my feet bare with me stepping into the shower. The water poured down like summer rain, the steam picking up. I got in, praying and hoping Brum would be okay. He would not kill him, right? I was not sure. The curse could be at play, and one thing was certain. Brum was the only good thing in the king's life. I wondered what other torture had he endured, because of the king all through the years. My heart ached, and I hated that he was suffering because of me at that moment, and there was nothing I could do. The tears fell, rubbing my body as quickly as I could. I had to go back. I should not have left. I should have stood my ground and told the king to hit me. He wanted me so he could hit me and do anything he wanted with me. The words in my head just brought so much grief. I would not let another person suffer because of me. I walked out of the shower. My towel was picked up and wrapped around my body. It's still wet. I had to get back to that office, but I knew I was too late. If the king wanted to kill Brum, he would be dead by then. The thought of living in this wicked life without Brum was too much, having my shaking hands to barely hold on to anything. Everything I held falling away, my head suddenly shot up. Hearing a loud banging sound, my heart drummed, my limbs paralyzed yet. Who could it be? Brum. He was the only person who had walked into my room. Who would come into my room? I quickly dropped the t-shirt and rushed out to the bedroom, my eyes wrecking every inch of the room. Nothing but a white fluffy towel covering my frail body. What I saw was something I would have not thought would happen in 1,000 years. My heart dropped to the darkest pit in my belly with my skin covered in goosebumps. I went so pale one would think I was dead. My heart broke only to unbreak. A step was taken back, not knowing what I would do. It was just him and I. No one there to protect me from my own mate. I did not know what he would do, and I dared to stare at his fisted hands that were covered in nothing but crimson blood. Brum's blood. Was he still alive? What had the king done? My eyes trailed back, accusing and questioning. Crowded with nothing but unshed tears. I would never forgive him. He could forget about me staying in that castle. My thoughts poisoned my head and heart, painting it with such pain I did not even want to process. The king took a step, and I took one back. But he was not in a mood to play games. He was heaving. Sure, he would tear me apart as he rushed to me. I turned running and crying, but he was faster, he was stronger. My body was pushed and pinned to the wall, only for him to flip me around. The towel that had been covering me was gone. My cold skin against his hot, flaming body as he pressed himself on me. My eyes were closed shut, just feeling the warm breath on my skin. I wished I could push him off. I wished I could fight him. But the truth was that I was defenseless when it came to him. I did not even want to fight him. He was the last person I wanted to fight with. But he seemed adamant on hurting me. I could feel his chest pressing on mine. My breasts pressed as he heaved up and down on me. His hands were on my waist. His grip firm as if to tear my skin apart. What was he doing? What was I doing? My body was betraying me because all of a sudden Brum was out of my head. All the concern, all of the fear flushed out of the door with just the king and I there. He pressed harder on me, pulling nothing but a moan from me. I hated myself. I hated myself for reacting the way I was. All I wanted was for him to do something. I did not know what, but Goddess, could he just do something to me? He pressed harder again, and I cried out, my eyes flashing open and locking with his. My world span all around, everything falling away. He left me craving for more, burning hot in his hold with the tears falling. I was hurt and happy at the same time, realizing how toxic he was to me because even if he hurt me so badly, I would still crawl back. My heart was so confused, hurting and throbbing for him at the same time. His body moved again. Suddenly something pressing on my thigh, large and hard. Any fight I had left, any energy I had left just washed away as I collapsed into his arms. My eyes peeled open, showing him that I was helpless when it came to him, that I was bare and vulnerable when it came to him. I hoped he saw the pain he caused. I hoped he saw what he was doing to me, but even if he saw, did he care? His rough hand brushed on my skin as if to leave it ruined and bruised. He cupped my ass, rushing to grip my thigh and pull my leg up to wrap it around him. I was not the captain of the ship. My body was his, just doing whatever he wanted to me. You are mine. The words were firm, his voice low, telling, and not asking. Something in me shook so hard, my folds suddenly too wet for it to be normal. I did not understand what was happening. But I had never felt so good being in anyone's arms.